All right, part two of skin tone shading. So what we're going to talk about here is blending our layers. And what I've done since the last video is I came in and I shaded all of my base value with the sienna brown. So very lightly, I found all my dark to light areas. And one important thing that I forgot to mention in the first video is going over that sienna brown like shadows with the Tuscan red. So this process that I'm going to show you with these colors, you might have to repeat it a couple of times. And there's a lot of benefits to doing multiple layers of this and really getting the tones to show through. So after you put in all your sienna brown, this is a part that I've left unfinished to go over with you. And this finger right here, I've done about 1.5 layers all the way up to the white and then hatched some Tuscan red on top. So what I'm going to show you is how I did that. So you want to take your orange, and again this varies depending on skin tone. Start with your sienna brown, work your way up to the orange. And I'm just going to layer them over depending on the value. Darker in some areas, lighter in others, but overall just a really soft, light value. I did add a little bit of yellow in some of these highlight areas. So again, on the side of your paper, if you want to experiment with different color combinations and layering, as long as you start off with the sienna brown and add orange as a second coat, then you can figure out how to add in red or yellow as you need it, and as well as the Tuscan red and some of the shadows and cracks and crevices. So in a lot of the areas where I have deep shadows, I've added a layer of Tuscan red on top. So what I'm going to do, these are the two fingers that are unfinished that I'm going to add on, and there are some other unfinished layers on here, but we're focusing on these areas right here. So I've added a layer of sienna brown, a layer of orange, and I'm just going through, and I've sharpened my pencils prior to beginning this. I'm just going through and blending all these colors in, smooth as possible, small circular motion, trying to establish some skin tone blending. So since the hands are textured, you can blend in directional shading to try and get some hatching going on. I did that in different areas, going in different directions, just depending on the skin. Okay, so looking at my image, what I see that this needs is some elimination of outline, heavy outline. So I'm gonna add another coat of the CNM. I'm gonna go back in and blend. So if you want to look at the difference between this small area where I've begun shading with the white right here versus this area which I have not blended with the white, you can see that it starts to create different surface. So just like I said before, I can go back in and repeat this process in this area just to get deeper tones and make it less transparent with the paper. So down at the bottom here, this is another area where I've just put sienna brown, a really light coat of sienna brown, and then I'm gonna add a thin layer of the orange. And then over that, I'm gonna blend it with the white. So just repeating these steps on the side here. Anytime you have an outline of something, shade to eliminate that outline to give it form. And this is just the skin tone blending. Layer your orange just lightly. I think I went a little bit heavy on the wrist area there. It's very orange. And then see what it looks like when you burnish it with the white. And then in some areas you can come through and, you know, add some shading or even hatching with the Tuscan red. And if you need to, for highlighted areas, you can add a little bit of yellow and then blend again with your white. Really, you just have to practice and play around with all the skin tones and see what you come up with. I have different shadows in different areas, so everything varies depending on your light source. So keep practicing and see what you come up with.